All right, Battletech enthusiasts, I want to share with you what I believe is one of the hidden gems in Battletech, the Partisan tank. For many of us, what's awesome about Battletech is there are so many ways to play the game. So we kind of have these three levels here just to kind of lay out this foundation. We have battle value. We can play a 2,000 point battle value game. We can play a 4,000, 5, 12K, so we can scale the size of the battle up and down. Then over that, we overlay the mission. What kind of mission? Attack, defense, cash and grab, recon, a lot of varieties in there. And then we can make the decision, we can play pure mechs only, or we can go total warfare combined arms, where now you've got mechs, you've got tanks, you've got infantry, you've got vehicles, you have artillery, you have air support. I mean, there is a lot. Then we get into the tech levels, succession era, inner sphere, clans, all that. There's a lot. So with Battletech, you can really get a lot out of your model collection with what you're going to play. Of course, it's going to grow very, very fast, being the nature of a miniature game. On there, the Partisan tank. This is a vehicle that is quickly becoming a tank that's quickly becoming my favorite. It offers a lot for not a ton of battle value. And with that, in the narrative, kind of the fact sheet, the sell sheet of the Partisan tank is, it's a heavy tank. It has 4 autocannon 5s. We're talking stock variant on it. And the idea is it can track, it's kind of like anti-aircraft, right? It's got the range, it's got the 4 quad guns on there, AC-5s. We can possibly, depending on the tech level, swap ammo in and out. So at first thought, it's like, well, if I don't play with air support, then I don't really need it. And certainly if I'm going to play with or against air support, there's other dedicated anti-air vehicles that work equally well or perhaps better for the battle value. But when is the last time you went up against air support? Most of my Battletech games, we play combined arms. Air support, we have some VTOLs, we've got some Karnovs, we've got some Warriors and stuff like that. But it's not really dedicated aerospace just because that's a lot of rules to bolt on. But in taking the Partisan, this is why it's an awesome tank. When there's this point in Battletech where you're moving forward. I'm trying to set up the narrative here. You're moving forward with your lance. You're moving forward with your mechs. You're trading some long-range firepower. LRMs and things like that as we get closer, autocannons. You might get a lucky hit here and there. You're hoping for a lucky hit, critical hit, or a headshot or something. But then at some point, we make contact. At some point, you and I, our lances are now face to face, and we're slugging it out. The danger here in Battletech, this is the challenging moment, that danger close moment, where, of course, the mechs have different speeds, but even the fastest mech versus the slowest mech, you can't run backwards. You got to walk backwards. And when you're face-to-face with a mech, you don't want to break to the side or turn and run. Unless maybe you're a locust, you can turn and run on there. But then again, if you lose the locust, it's not totally a big deal. But for the most part, you really can't backpedal out of there. So you're constantly navigating, what am I doing? What's going to happen? And the focus of the battle, the table or the hex map, gets smaller and smaller to this danger close area. This kind of like one center area once you've committed. That's how I feel. Honestly, is that true? Now imagine this is happening and all of your tactical focus is on there, and there's a pair, because you always want to take them in 2. Remember, 1 is none, 2 is 1, 3 is some. You have to be adjusted for battle value. Sure, I'd like to take 4 or 5 of every single tank, but I got to get other toys on the table. But I build my lists with at least 2 to 3. Imagine there's 2 long-range tanks sitting on a hill, and every turn I'm hitting you with 10 to 15 autocannons. It's a decent amount of damage. It's a decent amount of range. It's enough shots that something's going to get through. You want to deal with it. It's annoying, and you want to deal with it. Psychologically, that is going to shift the focus of you on the table. I mean, we're not really getting into technology here, but it's going to focus the mental aspect of you where we're in this danger close, our 2 lances going head to head, and you're like, I got to deal with those 2 tanks. Now, if you break off a unit or 2, so you send a medium mech, you're like, all right, I'm not going to run over there, but if I can get halfway down to the medium range band, I'll send my Griffin, hit it with the PVC, hit it with the LRM 10-pack stock, and I'll deal with it. Well, then you've now taking that unit away, that's less for my lance to fight. So with that, I find the Partisan works really well. Now, armor-wise, it has okay armor. For the battle value, it has a surprisingly good amount of armor, but certainly it can't take a prolonged pounding. I mean, with the exception of 100-ton tanks like the Behemoth or heavy-end Spectrum tanks, Demolishers, that can take a massive amount of punishment, but you're paying premium battle value for that. You're paying 900, 1,000 plus battle value. You're paying mech battle value for that tank on there, but it can take a decent amount of damage for the battle value. But this is deceptive because with the autocannons, you're going to be at medium to long range. Being a tank, you're going to be able to get into cover, especially if you're playing on a more traditional gaming table, wargaming table, where everything's WYSIWYG. It's a lot easier to come across cover. This is going to make it hard for your opponent to land a significant number of shots. Again, they could get lucky, but it's going to give you the staying power on there. The challenge of a tanks are when they take motive hits, because eventually they start, even if they have good armor, you're going to take motive hits, they're going to grind down, you're going to lose treads, you're going to lose side armor, eventually you're going to become immobilized. Well, if you're playing a Demolisher, 2 autocannon 20 tanks, or a close-in tank, that is a problem. That is something that needs to be balanced through tactics, redundancy, and just some plain old Battletech luck. We don't have to worry about that with the Partisan because we have the range. If you get immobilized, you're still hitting at range. It's also on a turret. So now it can swing, it can move around. It's not fixed. If you get hit, you still have that arc in there. 4 autocannons shooting means 1 is none, 2 is some, 3 is 1. 4 is 2. We go through these gates when we shoot. So assuming I'm in range, I have a base number based on my gunnery skill to hit you. Then that number is going to go up. So I'm at medium range, I'm at long range, it's going to go up. Your mech is walking or running, how many hexes? It's going to go up. Do you have cover going on? Are you partially obscured? It's going to go up. Now I'm going to try and use my superior gunnery skill and assets. I'm going to try and use, depending on the tech level, things like targeting computers to bring that down. I'm going to try and catch you out of cover. You and I are going to have this constant battle back and forth where I'm going to try and get the lowest to hit number and you're going to try and leverage the highest on there. But if I have 4 autocannons, that is enough, or I have 8 or 12, depending on how many I take in there. That's enough to break through even the higher band, 8 to 10 shooting. 11s and 12s are still going to be really hard to get unless you get hot. Dice could get hot. You roll enough dice, they're going to turn hot on there. So you have those advantages on there. In addition to some really, really great support every single turn, laying down significant firepower. What we see, unless it's something dedicated, say like a longbow, where it's going to be dedicated long range, generally what we see with our lance and our support vehicles is you and I are far away, we're getting closer. We hit the first range band at long range and we start trading some LRM shots. We start trading some AC2, AC5 shots. Then we move into the medium band range. So we're starting to hit with PPCs. We're starting to hit with large lasers. Then we go to the close and short band range where we're hitting with medium lasers, SRMs. Then we hit danger close, which is just I'm opening up with everything that doesn't have a minimum, and I might even be hitting up with the minimums on there. So at the beginning of the game, as we're advancing forward and we're trying to get into a good position on the table to utilize cover and movement, there's not a lot of shots coming downwind on the table, downrange. But with the Partisans, you can. Immediately, as soon as we're in that threat bubble, you're just pumping autocannons down. And again, for not a lot of battle value, look at compared to the other tanks and mechs and vehicles on there, it really works. So in my opinion, and under this video podcast, there's a link back to my blog where I showcase the Partisan with some real-time battle reports, some kind of more math hammery type tactica, crunching the numbers on here. But this podcast is a great introduction. I highly recommend at least looking into this tank, at least considering it, because I really believe it's the hidden gem. Because people look at the narrative, mech commanders look at the narrative and they're like, oh, it's only anti-air and I never play with air support, so I don't need anti-air. Right, but you can turn those guns to ground level. and they really, really, really do well, and they really do a lot for the battle value.